Investing in Nebuchadnezzar has changed. When he released, he was the single best seasonal conquest archer commander by far and away. But now in Rise of Kingdoms, I think that this is no longer the case. So watch until the end as I explain why this shift has occurred and who you probably should be investing in instead. Alright, if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I upload daily Rise of Kingdoms content with almost anything you can think of. My channel varies a lot. The only thing I don't talk about is any commanders that are not archers unless they're like new and releasing. So in this video, I'll be going over Nebuchadnezzar, who of course I mentioned at the start, used to be the single best seasonal conquest archer commander when he released. He used to be above many commanders, especially in damage, and his stats at his release were great, like they were way better than almost every other commander. And he also was the meta rally at the time. Now, before I tell you why I think Nebu is no longer as good as he used to be, he's no longer in that golden age, like I don't think you should invest in him. I'm going to go over his skills. I'm going to get a few best pairs out there just in case you do have a Nebu. If you're rallying, I'll give you some more pairs as well. So first, his skills. First skill, 1500 damage factor in a fan shape to 5 targets. This is great damage factor. I think it's the second highest AoE in terms of the amount of targets you hit compared to YSG, who just has more damage factor on that active skill. Nebu's second skill is 30% increased defense and 15% march speed. So Nebu is quite fast. I give him that. That's something pretty good, but his defense is no longer as good as it used to be. I'll go over that soon. The Blessing of Marduk? Blessing of Duck. I'm just going to call it Duck. When he rallies, he will increase his counterattack damage dealt by 30%. He just deals revenge damage and he gets march speed reduction on the opponent. If this was in the field, it would be insane, but it's not. And then his fourth skill, troops led by this commander deal 15% increased all damage, and normal attacks have a chance to reduce the target's rage. This can trigger once every 3 seconds. His expertise just adds even more damage factor. Keep in mind, this additional damage factor is only to the target that you're actually hitting. It's not in AoE. So that's another thing to keep in mind if you're going to max Nebu. Now, I'm going to go over just a couple of pairs I think you could use with Nebu if you've got him. First of all, Nebuchadnezzar primary with YSG. I think this is solid. This used to be the best archer march in the game. At the time, like for about a year and a half, I think this was the best archer march you could get. A Nebuchadnezzar YSG. The damage they dealt was just stupid high. Like that 50% increased skill damage on YSG onto Nebuchadnezzar was ridiculous because that would increase his like large AoE. And then YSG also has that rage restoration, which is also really good. Now another pair with Nebu. Some people like to use Boudica and Nebu. I don't think that's Boudica's best pair. Like she's not bad with Nebu. She gets the march speed. She's pretty fast. But Nebu only gives like 30% of stats, and he doesn't have a rage engine. And Boudica loves rage. You just want to throw Boudica's active skill as much as possible. Another pair I was personally going to use was Gilgamesh with Nebu. Because Gilgamesh is really tanky with all his stats. All his like increased damage, and like he reduces the damage he takes here, and even more of his expertise. See, this is really tanky, especially when you put it with a Nebu who has that defense. And the march speed's great with Gilgamesh. He has no march speed, so that's something you can consider. The final one, I've seen people talking about this one a lot, and I don't think it's that good. Is Nebu with a Minotaur. And I think it's just because of this rage reduction. He reduced the target's rage by a lot, and so does Nebu. They just reduce rage together on his last skill. Now, I don't think it's that good, so I don't recommend using that pair, but if you have a max Minotaur and a max Nebu, both of them only for some reason, it can work, I guess. But then again, I still wouldn't recommend it, because a Minotaur is really just meant to be put with Artemisia and only Artemisia. Now, the thing Nebu doesn't have is a debuff. The only debuff Nebu has is rage reduction, and there's a commander that does it better, who I personally don't like as well, but a Minotaur does it better. She does more rage reduction. It's just simple as that. She does more rage reduction, she does it more consistently, and she does it better. So the thing with Nebu is his only debuff is already taken up by an arguably stronger commander. Now, I wouldn't say that a Minotaur is stronger in every regard, but I think she's overall going to bring you more value than a Nebu at this point. Am I saying investing in a Minotaur is a good idea? Probably not, but it's an option. Now, if you look at other commanders who I think just have way more longevity, Cyrus, she's just the debuffing god. She's been around for like 2 years, I think, 2-3 years, and she just debuffs. That's the only reason she still is relevant, is because of her debuff. If you look at Gilgamesh, Gilgamesh used to be extremely good because of this health reduction. Obviously, there's CPO Prime now, and some people don't want Gilgamesh because of that reason. If you have him, of course, he's still very good. He takes reduced damage. He increases the skill damage they take when you max him. So Gilgamesh is still fairly useful even after his main debuff was taken by another commander. Cyrus, you look at Cyrus. It's a year. Additional damage taken increase. That is another debuff. And then on his third skill, 40% skill damage reduction that they deal. So they deal 40% reduced skill damage. That's a great debuff. No other commander in the game has anything as close to this. Boudica Prime, for example. She just skill damage taken increased for the opponent by 30% and reduces march speed by 30%. Only Archer commander, I think, that reduces march speed on her active skill. Minotaur just does more rage reduction than Nebu. Artemisia doesn't have any debuffs. Ramses. Ramses also has a debuff, defense reduction on the opponent. Ramses isn't that good. Probably should make a video on that as well. But Nebu just hasn't got that debuff, that thing that's going to keep him around for a while. That's just going to keep him in the meta. Where you want to use a Nebu because he's got like this amazing debuff. He doesn't. The only thing he's got is the rage reduction. That's the only thing resembling some type of a debuff. And when you're rallying, if you're doing a rally now, Henry is the main archer rally commander. Henry doesn't have any debuffs, but he's just got so much damage that he's just the top of the rally meta. Now, when you're rallying with Henry, you would only put a Nebu behind a Henry if you think that Henry is going to get swarmed, or if you just want to get AoE kills. Otherwise, you're just going to put a Gilgamesh or a Boudica behind that Henry, and your rally will probably end up doing better anyways. That's why I don't think Nebu is even that good for rallying anymore. Like, he's still an option. He's still extremely usable for rallies. I think he'll do fine. But if you're going to invest in a rally commander, I think you'll be better off with a Gilgamesh. Or just waiting until this new thing at the end of the video I'll tell you about. So Nebu's really fallen off in that regard. And his damage factor, yeah, it's good. It's fine. His stats, they're okay. 30% defense. Boudica's got 30% defense when she gets below 80%. She's got 30% attack and 10% march speed. That's almost double Nebu's stats. Like, it's really close to double his stats. Henry is like what I think a Nebu with single target damage would look like. He has reduced skill damage taken, so he's tanky like Nebu. Nebu's allegedly a bit tanky. Increased defense, increased attack, increased march speed. All three stats besides health that you would really want. He also has all damage on his last skill, and even more stats on his expertise. So Henry's worth expertising. Nebu's not. And Henry's way more usable at 5511 than I think Nebu is. I have my Nebu at 5511. I wanted to take him up. But I just think after looking into the future and if he's going to be good, I've just thought probably not a good idea to take him any further at this point. So Henry is just a great alternative to a Nebu. Henry's mightiest governor as well as Nebu. That's another thing. Nebu's in the mightiest governor. Alright, if you want to get a Nebu, you have to get a mightiest governor place. Very difficult to do, especially if you're free to play, if it's not a ranged mightiest governor. If you're in an Imperium Kingdom and you're free to play, you've got no hope, don't even bother. So that's another thing why Nebu just isn't as good as some of the other commanders. So if you had a mightiest governor, I would go Henry over Nebu almost any day. I think Henry is way better for the field. Now, am I saying that if you have a Nebu, you shouldn't use him? No, I'm not. Not at all. I think Nebu, if you have him maxed at the moment, he's great. You can use him still. He'll still do fine. But with new Archer commanders being just around the corner, we just had a mightiest governor. We're coming to the Archer cycle soon. I don't think that influences it. But we just had Heraclius release. He was a leadership commander. And in this past, I think it's 6 to 8 months, we've had Joan Prime, who's right there. Where's Sargon? No, he's a Sargon. Yeah, Sargon the Great. They both released Heraclius and Barber plus Margaret. That was the leadership, the cavalry, and the infantry commanders all releasing. We still haven't got a new archer commander, so I think the next set of commanders will be archers. So especially if you're a free-to-play low spender, if you have the option to get a Nebu, don't even bother. You're going to get better commanders soon. And I think Nebu will be coming to the daily bundle after the next set of cavalry commanders, I think. Because we had Attila, Takeda, then Guan, then Artemisia. Leadership, cavalry, infantry, archers. So I think the next set will be archers. And that will be Nebu and Cyrus. So if you're a low spender, don't get him from the Mightiest Governor. You can get him from the daily bundle as well. So I really do think that once these new archer commanders come out, unless there's one that pairs really well with Nebu, don't invest in him. There's just no point. There are commanders that do what he does and they do it better. They have more skill damage. So like YSG has more skill damage than Nebu. Gilgamesh, Cyrus, Boudica, Henry all just outpower Nebu in my opinion. And Minotaur just has his debuff, so there's just no point to put your sculptures in a Nebu when you can invest in commanders that will bring you more value in the future. So, unless there are new archer commanders that synergize well with Nebu, there's no point to invest in him. If you're going to a KVK and you really need archer commanders right today, right this instant, if you already have a Boudica maxed, you already have an Isong maxed, and you want a second archer march, Henry with a Gilgamesh or Henry with a Cyrus is probably going to give you more value than going Henry with a Nebu. Because over time, that Nebu is going to become way, way less effective than having a Cyrus debuff on the field. Alright, if you enjoyed this video, guys, like, subscribe, comment, turning your notification bells. Those are all appreciated. I love when people do them, I'm not going to lie. We're going for 100 subscribers by the end of July. That's my real hope. Now, you know what? Let's go end of June. I want 100 subscribers by the end of June, guys. So, you got to subscribe. Make my dream come true, huh? If you like my content, then you're going to see a lot more of this. I'm going to be talking about archer commanders. That's the whole point of my channel. Anyways, in the end screen, I'll have a guide on how to invest in every archer commander. Or I'll have a guide on which skills... Actually, no, I'm going to have the guide on which skills are the best for archer commanders. So if you're interested in that, how to save yourself hundreds of gold heads, if not thousands, make sure you go watch that video. And I'll see you in the next one.